The alien capital of Valerix floated above a blue gas giant like a crown of light. Massive crystal towers curved toward the stars, connected by glowing bridges and drifting platforms. Inside the highest hall, nobles gathered in rows of floating seats, their scales, fur, and armored skin shining under white light. This was the Hall of Dominion, where strength was respected and weakness was laughed at. Princess Serelith of Valerix sat beside her mother's throne, her long silver crest lifted high in pride. She was young by imperial standards, but already famous across the empire for her sharp mind and sharper tongue. She believed deeply in one truth taught since birth. Only the strong deserve to rule, and strength belonged to the Valerix alone. Today's gathering bored her.
It was another diplomatic summit. More talks.
More lesser species begging for protection or favor. Serelith leaned back, her golden eyes half-lidded as a group of insect-like delegates finished speaking. They promised loyalty. They offered resources. They feared the Empire. Good, she thought. Fear was honest. Then the hall doors opened again. The announcer's voice echoed. "Representative of Earth has arrived." A soft ripple of laughter moved through the hall. "Earth?" Serelith said aloud, not bothering to lower her voice. The tiny blue world with short lives and soft bodies? Her mother, Empress Vialoria, did not answer. She only watched the entrance. A single figure walked in. He was smaller than the Valerix guards, smaller than most warriors in the hall. He wore dark armor marked by scratches and burns. No jewels, no banners, just a symbol on his chest. Simple, old, and worn. His helmet was tucked under one arm, revealing a human face lined with age and old pain. His eyes were calm, almost cold. He walked alone. Serelith laughed, a clear sound that cut through the hall. "That's it?" she said.
"They sent one?" More laughter followed. Some nobles hissed in amusement.
Others whispered, already dismissing him. The human stopped at the center of the hall. He did not kneel. He did not bow. He stood straight, feet planted, as if the weight of the Empire meant nothing to him. Serelith rose from her seat.
"So this is humanity's finest?" she said, stepping closer. "You look fragile."
"I could break you with one hand." The human looked at her. He did not smile. He did not frown. "I'm not here to fight," he said calmly. His voice was low, steady. "I'm here to speak." That only made her laugh harder. "Speak," she said.
You think words matter here, human? Strength matters.
"Survival matters. You should have sent an army, or at least someone worth my attention." The human's eyes did not leave hers. "I was sent because I survived." That answer surprised a few listeners. Serelith tilted her head. "Survived what?" she asked. "Wars," he replied. "Extinction attempts. Things your records don't list, because no one lived to report them." A murmur spread through the hall. Serelith waved it away. "Bold lies," she said. "Typical of desperate species. You hide fear behind stories." "I don't fear you," the human said. That finally caught her off guard. The hall went quiet. Serelith stepped closer, her shadow falling over him.
Everyone fears Valerix.
"Then, everyone lies," he said simply. Gasps followed. A guard tensed, ready to strike. Serelith raised a hand, stopping them. She smiled, sharp and cruel. "You are brave, little human. Or foolish. Either way, you amuse me." She turned away, clearly finished with him. "Mother, Earth wastes our time." They offer nothing but noise. The Empress still said nothing. Her eyes remained on the human. Before any more words could be spoken, alarms screamed. Red light flooded the hall. "Enemy breach!" a voice shouted.
Unknown vessels! Inside the perimeter!
The floor shook as explosions echoed through the station. The floating seats jerked. Nobles cried out in fear. Guards rushed to form a shield around the throne. Seralith's confidence cracked.
"What is happening?" she demanded.
Another blast rocked the hall. Part of the ceiling shattered, raining glowing shards. Smoke filled the air. The guards charged forward, but the enemy was already inside. Tall, armored creatures burst through the broken wall, their weapons burning with red energy. These were not pirates or rebels. These were Kar, ancient enemies of Valerix, known for slaughter and silence. The guards met them head-on and fell. One by one, elite Valerix warriors were cut down. Their weapons bounced off Kar armor. Panic spread. Seralith felt something new twist in her chest. Fear. A Kar unit broke through the line, moving straight toward the throne. "Mother!" she shouted. The Empress stood, power gathering around her. But there were too many enemies. Then the human moved. He dropped his helmet and ran toward the guards, grabbing a fallen weapon and modifying it mid-run with a small device from his armor. He slid across the floor, firing precise shots that struck weak points the Valerix had never noticed. One Kar fell, then another. The human moved fast, but not wild. Every motion had purpose. He used the environment, the broken pillars, the floating debris. When his weapon overheated, he didn't panic. He switched tactics, using close combat, striking joints, eyes, power cores. Seralith stared in shock. This was not desperation. This was experience. A Kar charged him. The human was thrown across the hall, crashing into a pillar. Blood marked his face. He stood anyway. He kept fighting. By the time reinforcements arrived, the hall was silent except for smoke and alarms. The Kar were dead. The human dropped to one knee, breathing hard. Seralith realized her hands were shaking. The Empress stepped forward. "Human," she said, "you saved my court." "I did my job," he replied. Seralith looked at him again. Not as a joke, not as an insult, as a warrior. And for the first time, the Princess of Valerix did not laugh. The Hall of Dominion did not return to peace after the battle. Smoke still drifted through the air, and broken crystal lay scattered across the floor. Servants moved carefully, cleaning blood and shattered light panels. Guards stood twice as many as before, weapons ready, eyes nervous. The Empire had been attacked in its heart, and everyone felt the shock. The human warrior was taken from the hall under heavy guard, not as a prisoner, not as a guest, as something uncertain. Princess Seralith watched from a distance as he was escorted through the long silver corridors. His armor was damaged, his movements slow from injury. Yet he walked without help. He did not look back. He did not look proud. He simply endured. She hated that. She hated that her mind kept returning to the way he had moved during the fight. Calm, focused, deadly. Not once had he screamed or panicked. Even when bleeding, he had stood back up. That was not weakness. That night, Seralith could not rest. She stood on her private balcony, looking down at the glowing clouds of the gas giant below. Normally, the sight made her feel powerful, untouchable. Tonight, it only made her feel small. Her mother had not spoken to her since the attack. That frightened her more than the care. The next cycle, the Imperial Council gathered in a sealed chamber deep within the station. No nobles, no servants, only the Empress, the High Generals, the Elders, and the human warrior. Seralith stood behind her mother's throne, silent and stiff. The human stood alone in the center again. His injuries had been treated, but his armor was still cracked. He had refused replacement. General Threx, a massive Valerix with scarred scales, spoke first. "You knew where to strike the car," he said. "Their weak points. Their timing. I've fought them before," the human replied. Silence followed. "That is impossible," an elder said. "No human fleet has survived contact with the car." The human lifted his eyes. Ours didn't. Seralith felt the weight of those words. General Threx narrowed his eyes. "Explain." "They came to Earth years ago," the human said. "Testing. Hunting. They destroyed cities. We lost billions." Several council members shifted uncomfortably. "We didn't win," the human continued. "We adapted. We learned how they move. How they think. We paid for every lesson in blood." Seralith clenched her fists. She had mocked this species, laughed at them. Her mother spoke at last. "Why did you not share this knowledge earlier?" "Because no one asked," the human said calmly, "and because no one listened." The words cut deep.
An elder hissed. "You expect us to trust a species that hides its failures?" The human met his gaze.
Failure is how humans survive. That answer caused murmurs. General Threx stepped forward.
You disrespected our customs. You did not kneel. I didn't come to kneel, the human replied.
"I came to warn you. The car are not raiders."
"They are testing your defenses."
Seralith's eyes widened. Her mother's expression darkened. "Testing for what?"
"Invasion,"
he said. The chamber went silent. Princess Seralith finally spoke. "You expect us to believe that one battle means the Empire is at risk?" The human turned toward her. He did not insult her. He did not bow. "They sent a small force," he said. "You almost lost your throne." The words burned. Anger flared in her chest. "You dare!" The Empress raised a hand. "Enough!" Seralith fell silent, shock rippling through her. Her mother had stopped her, publicly. The Empress looked at the human for a long moment. "If what you say is true," she said slowly, "then you carry knowledge this empire needs." "I'm willing to share it," he said. "But not as a prisoner," the elders whispered among themselves. General Threx folded his arms. "Then you must prove you are more than luck." Seralith's head snapped up.
"You mean the trials?"
The general nodded. "Ancient combat and survival trials, designed for Valerix champions." The human did not hesitate. "I'll face them." Seralith turned sharply toward him. "You will die." "Maybe," he said, "but I won't run." Something twisted in her chest again. She hated that feeling. Confusion, respect, fear. The Empress studied him. "Why risk this? Because if I die here," he said, "you might listen before it's too late." The council agreed. The trials would begin the next cycle. News spread fast. An entire empire buzzed with disbelief. A human warrior would face Valerix trials. Some laughed. Others placed bets on how quickly he would fall. Many hoped for his death. A few felt uneasy. Seralith watched the preparations from the upper galleries. The arena was massive, carved into the station's core. Energy fields hummed. Ancient symbols glowed. She told herself she wanted to see him fail. She told herself that many times. When the trials began, the arena filled with spectators. Nobles. Soldiers. Citizens watching through holoscreens across the empire. The human entered the arena alone. No armor this time. Only basic gear. A simple blade. No enhancements.
Seralith leaned forward despite herself. The first trial was endurance.
Gravity shifted violently. Heat surged. Toxic air flooded the field. Valoric's warriors trained their whole lives for this. The human stumbled. A cheer rose. Then he adjusted his breathing, slowed his movements, used fabric from his gear to filter air. He crawled when standing cost too much energy. He conserved strength. Minutes passed, then hours. Other species would have collapsed. The human remained. The second trial was combat. Predator drones activated, moving fast, striking without pattern. The human took hits. Blood stained the floor. He fell once, twice, each time he rose. He studied the drones, learned their rhythm, turned their speed against them. He destroyed them, one by one. Silence fell over the arena. The third trial was choice. A simulated environment appeared. Civilians under threat, a clear path to victory that required sacrifice. The Valoric's doctrine was simple. Complete the mission at any cost. The human broke the pattern. He saved the civilians. It cost him time. It cost him pain. But he adapted, found another way, and completed the mission anyway. Serelith's breath caught. That was not how Valerics fought. That was not how Valerics thought. When the trials ended, the human collapsed to one knee. The arena did not cheer. It stood in stunned silence. Saralai felt her world shift. She had mocked him. She had underestimated him. And now she feared what it meant. Her mother rose from the throne, eyes glowing with thought and something deeper. The Empire had been tested, and humanity had not broken. The arena slowly emptied, but the silence it left behind stayed heavy in the Empire. Princess Serelith did not move from her seat for a long time. Around her, nobles whispered in low voices, their earlier laughter gone. Some looked angry. Some looked afraid. Many looked confused. The human warrior had not only survived the trials, he had changed something deeper, something uncomfortable. Saralai felt it inside herself. When she finally stood, her legs felt weak. She hated that too. The human was carried away by medics, unconscious but breathing. His body was pushed far beyond its limits, yet he had refused to break. As he disappeared behind the arena gates, Serelith realized she did not want him to die. That thought shocked her. She returned to her chambers, shutting the doors harder than necessary. The walls lit up with soft colors meant to calm her, but they did nothing. Her mind replayed the trials again and again. The way the human had crawled instead of standing proud, the way he had saved strangers instead of chasing glory, the way he had kept going when any Valoric's warrior would have demanded honor or death. Why? She wondered. Valoric's culture taught dominance. Victory. Control. Humanity seemed to teach endurance. That night, Serelith dreamed of fire and falling stars. The next cycle, the Imperial Council gathered again. This time, tension filled the chamber like poison. The elders were divided. Some demanded the human be rewarded. Others demanded he be removed. Permanently. He has influenced the public, one elder hissed. Citizens question our traditions. He has shown weakness. Another argued. Mercy over efficiency. General Threx slammed his clawed hand against the floor. He has shown adaptability. That is strength.
The Empress listened to all of them without speaking. Serelith stood behind her mother, silent once more, but her thoughts were loud.
She felt pulled in two directions, loyalty to her people and a growing respect she did not want to admit. The human wakes, a guard announced. Moments later, the human warrior was brought in, walking slowly, supported by a brace around his torso. His face was pale, but his eyes were clear. He stood before the throne again. You have proven yourself, an elder said stiffly, but proof alone does not grant trust. I'm not asking for trust, the human replied. I'm asking you to prepare. For what? Serelith asked sharply. He turned to her. For a war you can't win the way you fight now. Her pride flared. We have crushed empires and nearly lost your own yesterday, he said, not cruelly, simply stating fact. The chamber stirred with anger. The Empress raised a hand. Speak. The human took a breath.
The car adapt faster than you think. They study reactions.
Strength. Patterns. Yesterday was not an attack. It was a question.
A question? An elder scoffed. Yes, the human said.
They wanted to know if Valrix could change.
Silence.
They attacked your strongest place,
He continued.
Your heart. And you responded the same way every empire before you has responded.
And that response failed, Sarilith said quietly, surprising herself. The human nodded. Humans survived because we broke our own rules. The Empress leaned forward slightly. You suggest we abandon our traditions. I suggest you evolve them, he replied. That word echoed. Evolve. It was dangerous. Forbidden. Almost. After the council ended without decision, the Empress dismissed everyone, except Sarilith. Mother and daughter stood alone in the chamber.
You defend him,
The Empress said. Sarilith stiffened. I question him. Do not lie to me, her mother replied calmly. Sarilith lowered her eyes. He is not what I expected. No, the Empress agreed. Nor is humanity. Sarilith hesitated. Why do you listen to him? The Empress turned toward the massive window overlooking the stars. Because our empire is dying, she said softly. The words hit Sarilith like a blow.
Our star systems are unstable,
the Empress continued. Our enemies grow bolder. Our traditions have made us strong, but also predictable. Sarilith's breath caught. You believe he is the answer? I believe he is a sign, her mother said, and signs should not be ignored. Later that cycle, Sarilith found herself outside the medical wing. She told herself it was coincidence. The guards allowed her inside without question. The human lay on a recovery platform, connected to machines that hummed quietly. Without armor, he looked smaller, fragile. She almost turned away. Then his eyes opened. They focused on her slowly.
Princess, he said. She crossed her arms.
You should rest. I am, he replied. Silence stretched between them. You embarrassed my people, she said at last. I didn't mean to, he replied. But I won't apologize for surviving. She studied him closely. Why did you save the civilians in the trial?
You could have completed it faster, he shrugged slightly.
Because they mattered to you, she said. To anyone, he replied. That answer unsettled her more than insults ever had. You don't fight for glory, she said. No, he answered. I fight so others don't have to. Sarilith looked away, struggling with emotions she did not understand. Many want you gone, she admitted. I know, he said. They fear you. They should fear the car more. She laughed softly before she could stop herself. It sounded strange in her ears. He looked at her, surprised. That moment ended when alarms sounded again. Different this time. Deeper, slower. Emergency lights activated. A voice echoed through the station. Long-range sensors detect multiple car fleets entering Imperial space. The Empire froze. War was no longer a theory. The Empress called for immediate mobilization. Fleets scrambled. Worlds prepared defenses. The human was summoned despite his condition. In the strategy chamber, hollow maps showed car ships moving in formations no one had seen before. "They changed," General Threx said. "They learned," the human replied. Serelith watched the map. The enemy moved like a living thing. "What do we do?" she asked quietly. The human looked at her, then at the Empress. "We stop fighting like we always have." The Empress nodded slowly. "Then you will advise us." Some elders protested, but their voices were weak now. As the meeting ended, Serelith realized something terrifying and thrilling. The human was no longer an outsider. He was becoming essential, and she no longer knew whether she wanted to resist that or understand it. Far beyond the Empire, the car fleets adjusted course. They had found something interesting, something human, and the next test would be far deadlier. The first battle of the war did not begin with glory. It began with confusion. Car fleets entered Valeric's space from multiple directions at once, moving in patterns that ignored traditional combat logic. They did not rush forward. They waited. They spread out. They cut communication lines between systems before firing a single shot. Valeric's commanders hesitated. This was not how enemies behaved. Princess Serelith stood inside the main war chamber, staring at the glowing holomap. Entire systems blinked yellow, then red. Defensive fleets reported losses without ever seeing the enemy clearly.
"They're avoiding direct confrontation,"
General Threx said. "Why?" The human warrior stood beside the map, leaning heavily on a support rail. He was still healing, but he had refused to stay behind. His eyes followed the Har movements with sharp focus. "They're isolating you," he said.
"Breaking your rhythm?"
Several commanders bristled at his tone. Serelith watched him closely. "They've never fought like this before." He nodded. "Because you've never forced them to change." The Empress listened without interrupting. Reports flooded in. Supply convoys destroyed, outposts lost, civilian transports missing. Serelith felt her chest tighten. "This is dishonorable," one elder snapped. "That's the point," the human said. "They don't care about honor. They care about results." The Empress made a decision. "We will not chase them blindly," she said. "We regroup." That command alone caused shock. Baleric's doctrine demanded immediate counterattack. Serelith felt the weight of it. Her mother was already changing. Hours later, the car struck again, this time closer. A major defense platform fell within minutes. Valeric's forces arrived too late, attacking empty space while the enemy vanished. The pressure inside the Empire grew. The citizens questioned leadership. Nobles whispered. Some blamed the human. Serelith heard it all.
"He brings chaos.
He weakens us. He should never have survived the trials." She found him later in a hangar watching ships launch into darkness. He stood alone, hands resting on the railing, face tired but steady.
"They hate you," she said. "They're afraid," he replied.
"Of the car. Of change." She did not argue. A sharp alarm interrupted them.
An urgent message arrived from the outer ring. One of the core worlds was under attack.
"This one is different," the human said as data streamed in.
"They're committing real forces." Serelith looked at the numbers. Her blood ran cold.
"That world can't fall," she said. "Millions live there."
The Empress's voice came through the channel.
Princess, you will accompany the human to the front line.
Serelith froze. "Me? You need to see war as it is," her mother said. "Not as you imagine it," Serelith's heart pounded. "Yes, mother." Minutes later, she boarded a command vessel alongside the human. The ship jumped into hyperspace, stars stretching into light. For the first time in her life, Serelith felt truly exposed. The battlefield was chaos. Valeric's fleets clashed with car formations that shifted like schools of predators. Energy fire lit the void. Ships exploded without warning. Seralith watched from the command deck as shields failed and emergency signals cut off mid-sentence. "This is wrong," she whispered. The human stood beside her. "Welcome to real war." The car pushed toward the planet below, targeting orbital defenses first. Valeric's ships charged head-on and suffered heavy losses. Seralife clenched her claws. "We're losing." "Not yet," the human said.
But we will if this continues.
He moved to the command console.
"Give me control of a strike group."
A commander hesitated. "He is not Valeric's." The Empress's voice cut in. "Do it." The human gave rapid orders, breaking fleets into smaller units, using bait tactics, drawing car ships into crossfire zones they didn't expect. At first, it looked like retreat. Then the car formations broke. Valeric ships struck from unexpected angles. Traps closed. Enemy vessels fell. For the first time, the car hesitated. Seralith stared at the map in disbelief. "You outplayed them." It didn't smile. "Only for now." Suddenly, a new signal appeared inside Valeric's command codes. An Elder-controlled fleet turned its weapons on Valeric ships. Betrayal. Seralith felt sick. "They're attacking us." The human's jaw tightened. "Someone wants the old way to survive." Communication confirmed it. A faction of elders believed surrendering the human to the car would restore balance. They had struck a secret deal. Rage burned through Seralith. They would doom us all. The human looked at her. "This is your empire," she straightened. "Then they will answer to it." She took command authority and ordered loyal ships to block the traitors. The battle became brutal and close. Friends fired on friends. Seralith felt every loss. During the chaos, a car strike pierced the defense line and descended toward the planet's surface. "We can't stop them in time!" A commander shouted. The human looked at the planet below. "I can." Before anyone could stop him, he boarded a small assault craft. Seralith followed. "Princess, no!" someone yelled. The craft plunged through fire and debris, shaking violently. The human piloted with calm focus, weaving between explosions. They crashed into a car command vessel above the planet's atmosphere. Inside, the air was toxic and dark. Alarms screamed in alien tones. They fought side by side. Seralith's training was perfect, precise, but rigid. The human adapted on the move, using fallen enemies, broken weapons, anything available. When Seralith was nearly struck down, he pulled her clear, taking the hit himself. Blood stained his armor. "Why?" she demanded as they pressed forward.
"Because you matter," he said simply. "They reached the core and destroyed it."
The car vessel fell apart, burning as it descended into the planet's upper atmosphere. Valeric's forces rallied. The traitor fleet was surrounded and disabled. The car retreated. The planet was saved. Back aboard the flagship, medics rushed the human away. His condition was critical. Seralith stood outside the medical chamber, shaking. Her pride, her certainty, her old beliefs lay broken behind her. The Empress arrived silently.
"You fought well," she said. Seralith lowered her head.
"I was wrong." The Empress placed a hand on her shoulder. "So was I." Hours later, the human survived. Barely. When he awoke, Seralith was there.
"You should have let me fall," she said quietly. He shook his head weakly.
"That's not who I am." She looked at him, really looked at him. The one she had mocked, the one who had changed everything. Outside, the Empire prepared for the final phase of war. And Seralith understood something at last. Humanity did not conquer by force alone. It endured, it adapted, it protected, and the galaxy would never forget that. The Valerix Empire trembled under the weight of war, but it did not fall. The Kar fleets had been driven back, their forces shattered, and their strategies exposed. Yet, the threat remained, hidden in shadows, ready to strike again. The Empire's leaders gathered once more, the scars of the previous battle still fresh in their eyes, their minds heavy with both relief and fear. Princess Seralith stood beside her mother, silent at first, feeling the weight of everything she had witnessed. The human warrior, the one she had once mocked, stood nearby, leaning on a rail as his body healed from wounds that would have killed any ordinary soldier. The Empress addressed the council, her voice calm but filled with authority.
Valerix has survived this attack because we have adapted. Strength alone is not enough.
Strategy, endurance, and sacrifice are just as vital. And sometimes we learn these lessons from unexpected places. Her golden eyes swept the room, resting for a moment on the human warrior. A silence fell over the chamber, heavy and profound. Seralith's chest tightened. She remembered how she had laughed at him, how she had believed humans were weak and fragile. And now, seeing him standing there, quiet, steady, and alive, she realized the truth. Humans endured. They survived. They adapted, and they protected what mattered, not because it was expected, but because they chose to. Her mind reeled with new understanding. Pride, arrogance, and fear. The emotions she had relied on her whole life felt meaningless compared to what she had seen. The council members shifted uneasily, some bowing their heads, others exchanging nervous glances. Many had doubted the human, many had wished for his death. But none could deny what he had accomplished. Seralith felt a strange warmth inside herself, a mixture of awe and respect. The man she had mocked had shown the Valerix a way to survive, a way to win not just through raw power, but through thought, action, and unwavering courage. The Empress continued. There are those among us who question the presence of this human. They call him an outsider, a danger, a liability.
I say he is a strength, a symbol of what Valerix can become. And I declare this: he is not merely a guest.
He is not simply a soldier. He is part of this empire's future. Her voice grew stronger, echoing through the chamber. And, Princess Seralith, I speak to you now.
He is your husband. The room erupted in shock.
Gasps filled the air. Whispers ran like wildfire. Seralith's heart pounded, her body stiffened, and her mind raced. Her mother's words were clear and undeniable. Her mother, the Empress of Valerix, had claimed the human warrior as her daughter's partner, the same human she had ridiculed, dismissed, and doubted. Seralith felt a wave of conflicting emotions: humiliation, pride, confusion, anger, but above all, there was a new feeling: understanding. The human had proven himself worthy not through lineage, wealth, or status, but through action, endurance, and courage. He had become more than she had ever imagined. And though her pride screamed resistance, her heart whispered a truth she could no longer ignore. The human looked at her quietly. His eyes, steady and calm, met hers. He did not demand obedience, nor did he boast of victory. He simply waited, patient, allowing her to process the weight of her mother's declaration. Seralith felt a strange connection in that gaze, a trust, a strength, and a calm certainty that she had never encountered in her own people. For the first time, she understood the true meaning of partnership and loyalty. I don't understand, she said softly, almost to herself. Why me? Why this? Because you are alive, he replied quietly. Because you fight, because you think, because you lead. Because the Empire needs someone who can change with it. And because I chose to be here, not because of what you are, but because of what we can do together. His voice was calm, unwavering, and it carried a weight that made her pulse quicken. The Empress smiled faintly, reading the moment between them. Choice matters as much as decree, she said. You may resist, but you cannot deny what has already begun. The human has proven himself, where many of your people failed. And you will learn to respect him as a partner, not an inferior.
Sarilith drew in a deep breath.
Her mind replayed every trial, every battle, every choice the human had made. The way he had saved civilians. The way he had adapted to the car. The way he had shielded her during the last assault. And above all, the way he had endured without complaint, without fear. Her mockery, her arrogance, and her disbelief had been shattered, and from that, something new grew. A respect that could not be forced. A bond that was quietly forming between two equals. I will not mock you again, she said, her voice firm but soft, carrying the weight of her acknowledgement. You have shown me what strength truly means.
The human gave a faint nod. I do not need your praise, he said.
I need only that we survive together. The Empress's voice echoed once more through the chamber.
Then let it be known. This union is not born of tradition alone.
It is born of necessity, courage, and the willingness to endure beyond fear. It is born of humanity and of Valorix, adapting to survive in a galaxy that will not forgive weakness.
The declaration set the course for the Empire's future. Sarilith felt the weight of responsibility shift, but now it did not feel heavy.
It felt possible. The human warrior, once mocked, was now a symbol of hope and change, and she, the princess, would stand beside him. Not because she was commanded, but because she understood the truth he embodied. Weeks passed, and the Valyrics began to rebuild. The human warrior took part in councils, strategy sessions, and training, always teaching, always observing, always enduring. Sarilith observed him closely, learning not only how he fought and survived, but how he thought, how he adapted, and how he protected without hesitation. Slowly, the rest of the Empire began to see it too. Nobles who had doubted him now followed his strategies. Soldiers who had sneered now emulated his precision and calm. Humanity's influence began to seep into the very core of Valeric's doctrine, not through conquest, but through example. The final confrontation with the car came months later, beyond Valeric's space. This time, the Empire's fleets moved as one, coordinated under the guidance of the human warrior and the leadership of the Empress and Princess Sarilith. The car forces were greater in number, but the humans' unconventional strategies gave Valyrics the edge. Ships moved unpredictably, traps were set in areas the car would never expect, and the unity of Valyrics' forces, now inspired by human adaptability, turned the tide of battle. Sarilith fought beside him, not as a princess observing from a distance, but as a leader learning and adapting. Every maneuver she had once thought impossible now became second nature. She understood his calm, measured approach, and her own confidence grew as she mirrored his thinking in real time. Together, they outsmarted the car, forcing them to retreat in complete disarray. When the battle ended, silence settled over the battlefield. Valeric ships, battered but victorious, hovered above the stars, their lights reflecting in the eyes of those who survived. Princess Sarilith stepped onto the command deck beside the human warrior, looking out at the remains of the enemy fleet. She felt a deep sense of respect, gratitude, and something warmer. A bond she could not name, but knew she would never break. The Empress approached, her expression serene.
The Empire has survived, she said, and it has done so because it adapted, because it learned, and because it endured.
And you, Princess, have learned what many refuse to see, that strength alone does not define a ruler, nor does heritage alone define a warrior. Choice, courage, and partnership matter just as much.
Seralith turned to the human warrior. "We survived," she said softly. "Because of you." He shook his head. "Because of us." Her lips curved into a small smile, and for the first time, she felt pride, not as a weapon, but as a shared truth. Pride in what she had learned. Pride in the warrior who had changed her. Pride in what their union could accomplish. The Empress placed her hand gently on Seralith's shoulder. "Now the Empire sees it, and you, Princess, will see it too." Sometimes the strongest alliances come not from birthright or tradition, but from trust, endurance, and courage. Seralith looked back at the human warrior. "I will trust you," she said, "not because I must, but because I choose to." He nodded. "Then we will face whatever comes together." The stars outside shimmered like 1,000 eyes watching the galaxy, but this time, the Empire and its people were ready. Humanity had proven itself. Valerics had learned the value of endurance, adaptation, and protection. And Princess Seralith, once proud and mocking, now stood as a partner and equal to a human warrior whose courage had reshaped an empire. The galaxy had learned a lesson that day. Never underestimate humans. And in the quiet of the command deck, watching the stars stretch endlessly, Seralith knew that the future would belong to those willing to endure, adapt, and fight, not just for power, but for each other. Together, they had survived. Together, they would thrive. And together, they would write the next chapter of the Valerix Empire, with humans and aliens standing side by side. The human warrior reached out his hand. Seralith took it. They did not need words. The bond had been proven in trials, in battle, and in survival. It was a bond of respect, endurance, and choice, and it was stronger than any throne, stronger than any tradition, stronger than fear itself. The Empire was safe. Humanity had triumphed, and the princess knew, deep in her heart, that she had found more than an ally. She had found a partner, a teacher, and a warrior whose courage would echo through the stars forever.